What's going on, guys? Kyle Bradshaw here with the Rabaconda street tire changer. Now this is just not only for street bikes, it can be for dirt bikes, adventure bikes and such. Today I'm going to be changing a 390 adventure rear wheel. We're going to be installing the Bridgestone AX41, and then after we get that installation done, we're going to be using our tire balancer here to show you how tire balancing is done. So let's go ahead and start the timer. We'll get this thing set up and then we'll get to changing the tire. First thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our wheel is clean. It's going to be the first step. You want to make sure that the rim is nice and clean. That way when the duck head is working its way around the rim, it doesn't pick up dirt as it's going around and scratch the wheel. Now that's a neat part about this particular system is it does use a duck head that you would find at most professional tire change places. So there's no lifting of levers, if you will. It's going to be the duck head, which I'll show you here in a minute, that's going to slide around the outside of the rim here. That's going to remove and install the tire. It's a pretty cool setup. So let's go ahead and set this guy back here. And then this is the AX41. We're going to go ahead and keep it sitting in the sunshine, getting nice and warm. Now the Rabaconda unit is amazing. Comes in this nice little carry bag. Has a great owner's manual that comes with it. I picked up a set of the bead grease from Rabaconda. They say that is key when it comes to doing installations. This here is the duck head. So this part right here is actually going to sit in the rim. The tire is going to sit over the duck head, and then this is going to push the tire onto the rim. Super neat setup. This is going to be our back foot. There's a nice little lever right here. Open this guy up, and I guess we're going to go like this. And then let's see what we have here. This is our bead breaker. This is going to be the unit that's going to allow us to break the bead, and it's going to allow us to be able to function this ratchet system. You can hear that's what's going to allow us to ratchet the tire on and off. This guy right here is going to be our base. So we're going to set our base down. Slide this guy all the way down. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten. This lever is going to make sure that the base and the bottom part here, or the base and the stand, don't separate as you're doing your tire change. Now these here are aluminum, magnetic blocks that you can choose exactly where you want it depending on the tire installation that you're doing, or the size of the wheel, I should say. This is the spindle that's going to go here. If I was doing a normal size motorcycle, this is the spindle that I would use. But today we're doing the 390 Duke that has a really small axle hole. So we're going to use this smaller rod for today's installation. So we'll go ahead and screw this into place. Now this is the spindle that's going to go into our duck head ratchet, and that's going to allow this to not have slop. I'm going to go ahead and slide that in like that, slide it down, and that's going to give us perfect positioning when we get to that point. What I'll probably use today, because the sidewalls on this are super stiff, I've never tried this before, but this is the drop center tool. So we're going to snap this into the wheel, and this is going to help keep our tire into the drop center. I've never used these before, so we'll see what that looks like when it comes time. This here is our tire iron that we're going to use in order to get the tire up and over the duck head as we're functioning it. And what else do we need in this guy right here? This is going to allow us to be able to break the bead with this guy right here. Now there's a neat groove that's built into this. I really like that. Make sure that this doesn't slide apart when you're using it. When you're not, you just pull it back like that. And now I think we're ready to go. Oh, one more piece. That's going to be our locking pin to keep the wheel from moving while we're doing our installation. So let's go ahead and move this out of the way. There are instructions inside here. Bead grease we'll need here in just a minute. All right, so looks like we are just about ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and beat up my motorcycle, pull this over. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wheel and we're going to slide it onto the spindle. We're going to adjust our magnetic blocks so that the tire and the wheel hit these two blocks. Looks like we're in a pretty good position here. And that way the wheel can spin like this as we go around breaking the bead. Now before we break the bead, we need to let the air out of this tire. I'm going to do it with this nice little valve core removal tool here. Just going to come in here. And what I do is I typically set those next to my balance stand so I know where they're at and I can get to them easily. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our bead breaker to the position we're going to want it. For wide wheels, it goes here on the outside. For narrow wheels, we actually move it down here to the inside. Narrow meaning like a 21, something that's only a couple inches wide, versus a wider wheel like this. All right, so now we're going to set this bead breaker right about here. We want to be just above the rim. We don't actually want to make contact with the rim. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and push down to the bead brakes. Now a lot of times you have road grime and things of that nature that are up in here. Come on, squirter. There we go. So what I like to do is I like to squirt a little bit of juice in there. And I'm going to rotate this around and give it some more juice. So just going to break up the road grime that's in there. This tire has 4,300 miles on it. I've ridden for the last month in the rain, so the chances of nasty stuff being inside there are probably pretty great. So again, I'm just going around squirting some lubrication in between the bead and the tire. Now I can give it some more pressure here. And it looks like, work our way around. There it is. The bead has now been broken. Now something you want to take a look at is you never want to break the bead exactly where the valve stem is. You want to go ahead and rotate that around so you're missing that section. All right, now we're going to flip it over and break the bead on the other side. Put a little bit of lube right here in this groove. All right, I think we're getting close. There it is. Got that one. Skip the valve stem. The valve core. There we go. That's what we want to see. All right, now we have this thing all the way broken. What we're going to do is pull this guy back. We're now going to take our duck head. And our duck head has, I'll show you guys, this little groove right here. This little groove is the key. This is where your rim is actually going to ride inside of. So we're going to set the rim into here, lock this down, and then we'll be good to go. So we're going to set this up. We need our little adapter here. Set our adapter in. We're now going to push the duck head so it sits here on the rim, actually just off the rim a little bit. And now we're going to tighten this nice and tight. All right. Now we're going to take our anti-movement tool. It's going to slide down in here, and that's going to keep this wheel from sliding as we do this removal process. All right, now we're going to grab this guy right here. This is going to be our tire iron that we're going to slip down underneath, and we're going to pull this tire. I want to make sure that we're in the drop center all the time. I'm going to pull this up and over the duck head, like so. And then we're going to throw the tire iron underneath this little latching part right here. Now we're going to grab our tool. I'm going to throw our tool in here. Now we are going to You go like this, and we have successfully removed the first bead. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our tire lever again and basically do the same thing. We're going to come under the duck head. We're going to grab the tire on the back side, pull it up and over. Now there's a little groove right here on the tire machine that holds that lever in place. All right, and now what we're going to do, slipped out. Make sure that guy stays up. And that's it. We have now successfully removed our tire. Next thing we need to do is two things. First, we need to check the rotation direction of the tire itself. That's going to be key. So this is the way that the wheel sits on the bike, chain is on that side, brake is on this side. You want to take a look at the sidewall of the tire. Here's our arrow. Rotate in this direction. We are good to go. Now we're going to open up the Rabaconda bead grease. It's a neat solution. They say makes this process super easy. And according to all the tutorials that I've watched, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this bead grease on nice and liberally on both sides. Now Rabaconda recommends that we start with this duck head in the upper position up here. We're going to take our tire, set it in place, and before I push this into place, I always double check and make sure. There we go. So now we're going to get our ratchet around here. And get our tool in here. And now, I think that's not working. Let's see what we got to do here. This is a little tool that I picked up years and years ago and is super helpful in keeping the tire from moving as it goes around. Maybe I should try those drop center tools that we talked about that I've never used before. Let's try one of these right here. They just push down and lock into place. All right. Now let's continue our process. There we go. We can make this happen, guys. Now, I was incorrect the whole time. So that part of the duck head definitely had to be underneath. Didn't see before. All right. That's it. Now in order to get the duck head out, we're just going to release our pressure right here. Slide this out. Slide it off. And check that out. We are now fully operational. Let's throw some air in there. So what we need to do is seat the tire on the rim. And what we'll do there, we'll just take the tire, do this a couple times. And now, there it goes. There it is. Heard the first and second pop. There we go. We are now fully installed thanks to our Rabaconda tire changing machine. That was pretty simple. Let's go take a look at the timestamp here real quick. Now before I balance this wheel, which I'll show you here in just a second, I want to show you one of my favorite reasons I like this Rabaconda. Because we saw how simple it was to be able to set up initially. Let's go ahead and set each of our components back into our bag here. Lay these down flat. We've got our bead grease. And here we go. Throw that guy in there. Little yellow thing, super handy in keeping that tire from walking on you. Go ahead and shorten this up. Now what I like to do, or what I'm going to like to do after every tire installation, is I'm going to wipe everything down, give it a good look, Make sure that there's no burrs or no damage happened to the duck head as I was using it. We'll set that back down in here. Bag to put everything in. Then everything just simply comes apart. A couple little twists of these pieces here. Bring this guy up. This guy. And there it is, Rabaconda, put away and ready for our next tire change. Now, next process is going to be balancing the wheel. Now, this is super important. Some people say you don't have to balance off-road tires, but I highly disagree with that. I've had some horrible situations with tires that I have not balanced. So I always like to make sure that we get a good balance on every tire. Now, this is a Nomar balancing machine, manual machine. I'm just going to go ahead and set this guy up in place. What is I typically set it in place and look to see if there's movement at all. And then I'll move it about a quarter. Let it go. As you can see, it is moving, so we're going to have to add just a little bit of weight to this. How's it going? Good, good. So what I like to do is I just leave the weights on there how they were from the previous installation. And then I take a look and see there. Very little movement there. There it is, coming around this direction. It looks like it might settle where my existing wheel weights are. And what I would do then is I just pop a couple of those off, if that's the case. All right, so I'm gonna take a quarter of an ounce. I'm gonna find a spot right here at the very top where it says it's the heaviest. Look at that. Absolutely zero movement, guys. I like it. And there you go, that's it. Rabaconda installation and tire balancing at home in your own garage. It is really simple. This Rabaconda is gonna pay for itself extremely quickly. The local shop charges $30 per mount, $15 per balance, and then $1 per ounce of weight they need to use on your wheels. So if you're looking at almost $90 per tire change, and that's on the cheap. If you go to an actual dealership, you're looking at $175 or so for them to change your tires for you. So Rabaconda, and about 5 or 6 tire changes will completely pay for itself. They've also got some of their stuff on Amazon. I'll put a link down to that as well. And as always, Nelson Rigg is my full-time employer. And if you want any Nelson Rigg products like the bags that you see here on the 1190 in the background, you can save 25% off at Nelson Rigg using coupon code Kyle25. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Until next time, take care and ride safe out there.